G'day, my friends, and welcome to Martys Garden. Please let me know if I'm coming through okay in the sound, looking good in the shot. And what we're doing today is we're going to actually, the video that I had out this morning, I did a quick little live show for like 3 minutes, which is just nuts, right? And it's out there on the replay now. If you haven't watched it, you may want to go back and watch it. But we're playing it today, and I'm going to break it down and go really deep into no-dig gardening. And like there's lots of different ways to no-dig garden. So this is not just the only method, but it is one way that you can possibly look at doing at your place. And then we can look at other ways as we move forward in this video, because we really want to, I'm just saying this, we're going to dig deep, which we shouldn't be doing, but we're going to dig deep into this conversation. We're going to find out what you guys think about it and what you're applying and how you think you can make it better, and all the value around no dig. So we're actually doing quite a few videos on this in the last few days, and I've got the video. I'm going to roll it out now, and I'm going to stop bits and pieces through the video, and then what we're going to do is we're going to sort of break it down, and I'm going to really intertwine and go deep into it to give you a better concept of how you can apply this at home. But just before we do that, now if you're watching the rerun, you can always skip these parts and go forward and backwards and stuff like that. But we're just going to say g'day to the crew that have come in here already, and just say a quick hello. I let people know this morning that I was running a live show, and we've got Decine Garden stuff here. Thank you for coming, and coming in loud and clear from down under follow. All right, so let's get into this video now. We've got 11 people watching, and if you're getting value out of it, please apply a thumbs up. Remember, I'm going to be stopping and starting this video and breaking it down for you guys so you can learn a lot. It says, have you got any info on no snorkel gardening? Not yet. Ready? Hang on, I'm going to rewind this now, and we'll get it back to the start, and ready to play. Now, the sound will definitely work this time, guys. If it doesn't, let me know in the chat. 99.9% sure it's going to work. All I've got to do is get it across. So we're here at 560 Farms, and we've been moving around doing the vlog with Pepe Fassos. It's been really great fun. We've learned so much already, and you know, I'm learning all the time as we go around this farm as well. And what we've got here is his whole market garden area. So we've looked at the microgreens, we've looked at the compost, we've looked at his worm farming systems, and it's really, really great. Now, he's told me that what he's doing now is he's introducing no-till systems into the market gardens here, using all these composts and stuff that he's getting on site. Some of it's getting in, and then he's blending and making it and bringing it out into here. And what he's doing is he's creating these rows. So, and we've spoken a lot about this, Pepe and I, in the past, about how you, with no-till systems, is actually getting the manure and the chips and things like that breaking down. Okay, this is really cool. What we can see here on the left is the chip that's going into the row. But what I want to do is just break it down. If you didn't see the other video, is we're creating rows, right? And each row will have plants in it, and then one row will have a carbon material. Generally, it's a wood chip that's been sitting for some time in a pile, and then it's applied into the center of the row. Now, if you look at the chip in here, you can see that it's starting to break down a little bit. It's already starting to get humusy, and this type of material will eventually go in between the rows. And we'll talk more about the rows as we sort of go along, but if we can break it down in a pile as long as possible and then move it in, it will become a quality soil much faster. Now, we don't have to do it like that. You may not have the space. You may just come in and do some wheelbarrows, put it in between the rows at home and get it started, which is absolutely fine. And as I said, we'll talk about rows. But if you can put a pile somewhere, or you've got a compost bin or something like that, you can fill it up and start the process of getting some good bacteria in there, getting a little bit of fungi, some of the soil web happening in there, and you can start firing away. Now, if you've got any questions as we're moving through this section, and I see it's really good, I'll stop. If not, we'll just keep cruising through the video, and we're going to keep talking about this as we move into it. Right, let's keep going.
So then you're actually like just coming along and taking it out of the middle of that row and then putting it back onto the pile and then replacing through the center line as well. So you're just building the soil profile the whole time, and then you can plant, you can rotate crops, things like that. So
All right, so I'm just going to go back a little bit. We'll just go back a little bit here. If it'll allow me to do that. Yep, it will. This is so cool, this new player. All right, so let's just start here. Get me side by side so we can talk about this a bit more.
Onto the pile and then replacing through the center line as well.
So you can see that that's already starting to produce a good friable soil. Now what we're doing is we're working on building all that beneficial material or organisms that live in the soil there. Actually, we're just moving it across from the center across. So we're keeping all our good biology on site. So we're not going in and digging and killing it. Now, some farmers will do what they call a low till. They've got a little machine and it'll cut a few inches down into the ground and it'll do a low till, and they're still leaving the roots and everything down in the ground. So when you're actually going through and harvesting your plants, you want to make sure you leave all that roots and everything and dead matter in the soil for the microorganisms to go and break it down. As you can see here,
Soil profile the whole time.
Look how beautiful it is.
And you can rotate crops, things like that. So there isn't such a thing as the problem of crop rotation so much, because you're always putting in new soil implements and you're not building up bad biology in the soil or any pests that might live in the soil, such as a bad nematode that may attack roots and things like that. So it's absolutely brilliant, and we can do this at home just by working on scale. And so we can have like a square foot farm, or 2 meters by 2 meters area, and building. So we're making rows.
Okay, so what we're going to look at here is we want to keep our rows, especially more so even on farms, because we want to get up and down that row nice and easily. Now, some plants are bigger than others, so they're going to grow over into the row, and then we can't walk up and down through. And we want to be able to see easily as we're walking through, not only to harvest, but just look at the plants, check if there's any pest problems and things. Generally, the pest problems would be in the first stage when we're starting to get in the soils, we're building the soils good. As the soils are getting better, and we're actually like maybe our second, third season of applying this mulch down through the center of the row and putting it back in, keeping all that good fungi and everything alive, these plants just get healthier and healthier. And as they get healthier, less pest problems, right? So, but you still want to be able to cruise up and down maybe with a wheelbarrow or a little trolley, something like that. So keep that in mind. Now, Pepe has planted a lot of the singular plants the same, but in a vegetable garden at home, what I'd recommend is more having 2 or 3 of the different types of plants. So you might have a tomato, a basil, and then sort of in between that, a bit shaded, maybe a parsley. And then you would go another basil, a tomato, sort of along those lines. And then you might change it again, depending on what you want to grow and things like that, and trying to work on a companion planting aspect. But remember, it's all about building the soil profile and building it up. And as we sort of put these chips down the rows, they're also keeping the weeds away. Now keep in mind, if you've got a garden bed somewhere and you're going, hey, well, I don't want to build rows, but I'd like to do something like this, where you would chip around the outside of your garden. So that's where you're walking on predominantly all the time. So pathways, wood chip pathways. And as you're rebuilding your pathway, you're taking that material out, you're putting it back onto your garden beds, and then you're filling it full of the wood chip again, where you'll be walking on the pathways and things. So it doesn't have to be exactly like this, and that is a really great way to do things, especially if you've got raised beds and pathways and things. Just fill it full of the wood chip and then just put it back into the garden. If you're enjoying this so far and you're getting lots of value out of it, please let me know in the comments box. I am watching the comments here. We've got a Daisy's just dropped in to say hello. And, no question is regarded as silly. And happy to hear anything that you've got that you would like to say here at Martys Garden. Anyway, we'll keep the video rolling and I'll keep breaking it down.
So we can walk up in between and then grab that wood chip and that mulch and just put it back onto the row. They do this in syntropic farming as well. They do it in all types of organic farms these days. It is the killer method to not disturbing your biology. I've been arguing for people for years and years about digging systems, and now the world, well, I'm not saying they're taking notice of me, because there's plenty of other people talking about it as well, but it's just been so long, the fight, and it's so great.
Okay, the reason why I'm saying that is because when I was studying organics and in agribusiness at college, we were talking about this right at the very beginning. And I used to go out and work part-time on farms. I ended up managing a small avocado farm, things like that. And the people that owned these farms at that time were generally businesses from Sydney. They had and different places around, and they had tax write-offs on them. So they didn't always want to run at a profit, to be honest. They could mix it into their business and own that land, and the land would becoming more valuable as an asset. And some of them would just want to run even. They didn't care so much about the land as much. And, there was a lot of sort of chemical fertilizers being thrown out. There wasn't as much care about the land and everything around. And even in the Byron Shire where I lived, which was like ahead of its time at that time, was still behind in what I believed needed to move forward. And so I was seeing this done. And then a lot of new farmers coming through, so the new generation of children coming through, then overtaking not overtaking, but succeeding their fathers and things like that. Getting new information, they're going to college, things like that, seeing stuff like this on YouTube and going, hey, we can do this better. We can improve the environment and also our crop growth and reduce our costs and create a better business by becoming more biodiversive. And so some of these small farms actually started, like Pepe has here, he sells microgreens and different crops and things. And then he's also got these up the side. So he's value adding to his business. And a lot of businesses are starting to realize now, they're going, hey, I need to put these little up the side of my house too, or up the side of my farm as well, and have a little value add business. And so they're doing this and really making some big change. All right, so we've got a few people rolling in. Let's say hello. G'day, Cheryl. Good to see you here. And this is all new. This is the brand new software. We'll get to see the entire thing you did with him. Yeah, I'm rolling out just short videos into the vlogs, into the lives, things like that. So yeah, it's really a lot of fun at the moment. And breaking down pieces of content like this so we can talk about it and go deeper into it. We have Charles Downing, can't spell. Yeah, I've had a look at one of his videos that was sent to me just recently. And I have looked at a lot of their stuff before. He does no dig big time in the UK. Yeah, it's absolutely huge. I've only been pushing it sort of along the lines of the straw bales sort of gardening. And I figure, yeah, it's time to actually really talk about it a lot more and get the people to understand. Because I want people to do this in their vegetable gardens as well. And as I said, you can actually just do it around the outside of your garden beds where you're putting up the wood chip and stuff, and you're walking on it, and then later on, you're putting it back in. You're stopping your weeds. You're building biology highways for the fungi and worms and everything to move underneath. And it's all a win-win. It says here, Sher's Worm and Garden. I think wood chips are much more affordable than buying garden mix for our garden beds. Yes, especially if you can get it for local arborists that are close by. Recently, we've got to get $15 a cube here. I've got it for free when they're very close by and they just don't want to have the hustle of dumping it somewhere or dropping it somewhere. And, I think I buy it from the landscaping place. I've got to pay about $50. So, yeah, there's cheaper options, but it does work very well. Just keep in mind, if you want to grow when you're growing it, you want to have the moisture be able to reach the ground. But in the rows, you can have it quite deep where you're walking, no problem. It just depends on how much you want to get out and then back into the gardens. Okay, so Marty, have you seen David Good's channel? He developed a system similar to syntropics. He calls row gardening, mixing trees, perennials. No, I haven't. Give me the exact name in here, and people maybe want to go and have a look at it as well. That would be pretty cool. Great content, Marty. Building a fantastic community of engaged, interested people. Well done, my friend. Thumbs up. this end. Thank you very much, Dad's Amazing Adventures, which is traveling around Asia as we speak, making great little videos, showing people around Bali and all different places. Emma Ruriana, hopefully I pronounced that right. Excuse me if I didn't. I just topped up my wood chip pathway in my mini orchard. The soil underneath is beautiful 2 years on, yeah, and you just keep backfilling it, right? And as long as you can get hold of the material, that is absolutely brilliant. Rick says here that it's free from the council, but you need to shovel it in the ute or trailer. I've seen it some councils where they dump it on, have it on the side of the road, and you can go and shovel it yourself and pick it up. So if you've got the energy and the time and you don't mind the exercise, do that. So let's just finish off the video here.
In place, and you can implement it at home, at your space, just by having compost and some type of wood chip blend or some type of carbon to put over the soil surface.
Okay, so I want us to look at something here. We'll just go back a little bit because this is really interesting. We'll just play it again. I'll pause it right on the right spot.
And
so you can see here, if you watch the video where we got the other video that came out this morning, this is the part where he was discussing to me about microbes and where they sit on the side of the edges of things. And he was building a little house showing, yeah, it's a microbe house sort of thing. And on the edges of these sticks and twigs and little leaves and stuff like that is where they have their housing. They can actually live on the side of this. We're providing habitat for it. So as it's breaking down and getting consumed, the soil web has billions of things going on in there, eating and all eating, consuming each other. But we need to provide some type of housing for them. And so, yeah, these little sticks and the edges of things, and like biochar is one of the things that's so good about that. And that's what that does. So once it's breaking down really far, the plants can uptake the nutrient when the water hits it. But when it's sort of like just, like it's got that little bit of blocky structure, which is perfect, the odd little stick that's breaking down and things like that, the microbes have got housing, and that's what's bringing up the nutrients from the ground into the plant. So as we're going through and digging and tilling this all the time, we're breaking up all these little houses and killing these microbes that have attached onto these sticks and living on there and starting to breed and things. So that's a good little example of that. Right, let's keep rolling.
Carbon to put over the soil surface as you would a mulch. Brilliant way to garden, and much easier on the back, even though you are sort of digging down a bit. You're just not getting in with a hoe and the mattock and the whole lot and just killing your soil life. So stoked to be here on 560 Farms and show you around and show you ways that you can implement at home, as well as if you're into market gardening and doing all that stuff.
All right, there we go. What do you think of that? Some of you may have watched the video this morning, and if you enjoyed having it breaking down a bit more and are going a bit deeper into it to let you know some of the benefits of it, yeah, let me know in the comments box down below. I'd love to get any of your questions that you have as well about this type of gardening. Anything to do with we'll start with that first, sort of to do with the no-dig gardening. Maybe there's something that you're using that you'd like to share here and I can drag it across. Maybe there's a problem that you've come across. Now, one of the biggest problems that people make with no-dig gardening at the beginning is putting too much wood chip into the soil and mixing it into the soil, right? The nitrogen, it'll steal away nitrogen to break it down. So we want to break it down as much as we can. So as I was saying, to the end stage where it's getting piled on top after we plant it again and having these little sticks and twigs on top. Yeah, so they're like little microbe houses. They're a bit spongy, not too hard, and it's not going to steal away the nitrogen that's in the plants. All right, so we got the comment here. Going across, the channel is called David the Good. Oh, that's what you said before. I just didn't click with me. But thank you very much for sharing that with us all, and maybe some people would like to go over and have a look at that at some stage. Shout out for David the Good. All right, would the worm tea help the breakdown and get more microbes in, or not necessary? That is a great question. What I'm going to do, actually I'll get that back across. Would the worm tea help the breakdown and get more microbes in, or not necessary? At the very beginning stages, when you're building these no-dig gardens, or you're building a new garden, it would be a good idea to make a worm tea, even out of castings and a bit of organic sugar and bubbling it right up, or just getting some castings and putting it into a bucket and oxygenating as much as possible. You are going to get more microbes into the garden that way. But you'll find that it just takes a little bit of time. You just need to sort of take care of it. And what I've found from over the years of doing this is it becomes easier and easier. It actually becomes easier than working on a dig garden every year because when we dig gardening, we're killing everything in the soil. So we're essentially feeding the plant with blood and bone again. Then we have to replenish it with all these things. And if the plant's unhealthy, then we have to get some type of spray out there, or some type of chemical or organic pesticide or whatever. And look, pests attack unhealthy plants. And so as they're building beautiful soils, the plants become more resistant. Their immunity builds up. They build up better essential oils in their systems. They build up stronger cell walls so they can't be pierced by the insect. And they can also, there's science now coming out. Now, I wish I had some type of link or something going to it. I don't at the moment. I'll have to do some research. But they're finding out now that there are plants that can actually secrete a pheromone into the air, and when they're getting attacked by a certain insect, to let the predator know that, hey, I'm being attacked by this insect. Come and help me. Gobble them all up, and they put that scent out there, which is really, really amazing. I've said this years ago. People thought I was a total Fruit Loop and that I hanged out with fairies and gnomes and all this type of stuff. Now I'm bringing it forward and saying, yep, they do it. I've seen them do it. And it's just amazing that now they can actually measure the science with it. So cool. Let's get the next comment up here. So Marty, could you use a trowel, hand spade, to put the wood chip that is broken down onto the raised bed as to not kill the worms? Yeah, so basically, you're going through, if you're getting the wood chip, you need to not worry too much. Like, you are going to actually, there's no such thing as perfect, right? So when we're pulling it out of the row and back into the thing, generally as we're pulling it out, the light's hitting it and the worms are going down deeper again. Every time light hits it, the worms go down deeper again. So we move down through the row, slowly through the top. We don't go too deep. And we move down and we come across and scoop like this, scoop that way, scoop this way, scoop that way, scoop this way. And the things keep going down. And by the time we sort of hit sort of where it's going very humusy, you're seeing some stuff that's semi-broken down or whatever, then it's time to put your layers back on top and get ready again for next year. So don't worry too much. It's impossible not to, we might hurt the odd worm. I do when I'm digging a hole to plant a plant. I chopped him in half. But sometimes you just can't be helped. You do the very best you can to protect them. But just remember, by no digging, we're saving so much. So, the biology, we're talking in the billions in the ground. And by doing that, we're building up more and more habitat for these amazing microorganisms that live in the ground. You're doing a big favor. So if you lose a worm here and there, I know it can be a bit heartbreaking, but don't worry about it too much. All right, we've got 14 people watching at the moment. A little bit slow, but I guess it's it's not really announced, not something that I do all the time. But listen, if you're getting a lot of value out, please give me a thumbs up. Someone let me know how many thumbs up we got. I can't see it in this software like I can in Ecamm Live, but this one is much better, and I can roll out videos and be there on the side to chat for live, and I can roll out to Facebook and roll out to Twitter. I can go out to LinkedIn. I can go out to all these different places, and even into groups and stuff like that. We're considering along the lines of maybe doing a worm wrangler group for members. I think that could be something really cool to use to do in the future, and then we might roll out some live shows into there as well. Who knows? We'll see. It's just future thinking. If members would like to do that, that would be really cool. 1:30 a.m. Whoa. 6 you've got six thumbs up. Thank you very much. I got 16 here. Well, please give us a thumbs up if you haven't already. Got 15 people watching and 16 thumbs up. So when we play this game, we're actually in a win-win situation. And I'd love to hear your comments about what you think about no dig gardening, if it's working for you. If you're watching the rerun, leave a comment down below. And if you're here live speaking with me now, something that you'd like to share or a question. And remember, no questions are regarded as stupid. We want to share them all and get the information out to you. We have people watch this show from very beginner, people just thinking about starting gardening, and then others that have been doing it for a very long time. Excuse me, my microphone just fell down there. And I think it's absolutely awesome. And now with, let's talk about it a little bit. Just with inflation now, it's killing us. We're not getting nowhere near as good value for our dollar as we used to, and we need to start taking care of ourselves and becoming more self-sufficient. I'm putting around about 40% of my food on my plate now every day, which is absolutely I'm just stoked to do that. So let's keep going on here. Yes, please, Marty. That sounds good. All right. So if we get more people interested, I had a few. I think that it could be a good idea to do a Facebook group for members, for Worm Wrangler members. We will look into that further. I just got to be a little bit careful with my time schedules and things like that. But it's something you're forward thinking. If more people are interested in it, then we will keep moving forward. Okay, my favorite thing about no dig, it prevents soil erosion from the sun, wind and rain, and also promotes soil building from worms for life. That is absolutely brilliant. I love this comment. And the reason I'm going to say why, and I believe I can add some value to this, excuse me, it's what happens when we're running live shows. A little bit of a burp there, and we'll keep moving forward. Okay. The favorite thing, it prevents soil erosion. Now, soil erosion has been absolutely massive around the world, and we're talking about degradation and also even going into what they call desertification and the soil becoming hydrophobic. So as the soil becomes hydrophobic, so I'll just give you a rundown on what happens, right? So we go through, and this happened in Australia, we lost heaps of land, and it's desert now, desertification. So you go through, you till all the good topsoil, especially when you got shallow soils, good shallow soils in Australia. It's even more prone to heavy problems for this. And then so we kill all the soil life, we remove everything as we're doing that in the soil on top that's been growing on and sort of rotting back in, and then we're planting into that dead material that's just full of, let's just look at it as blood and bone. That's how I like to put it, right? Then we plant into it, and then so the old crew would go, all right, so we've grown out of that. What we're going to do is we're going to let that sit fallow for a little bit, and we'll go to another row. And so they built, you get some weeds and some different things growing and stuff like that, and the biology starts coming back a little bit. And then they go through and do another section, and then, and sort of rotate around. But the thing is, every time they're doing that and then they go, I need to scale up more. Oh, I'm not going to worry about that one. We won't let that sit fallow this year. We'll let it sit fallow every 3 years, something like that. And all of a sudden, before they're going to plant, we get a big storm come through, rain, wind, things like that. It just rips away all the topsoil, right? It just tears it away. Every time there's nothing, no roots in the ground, the soil gets blown away. And we've all seen big dust storms and that on TV, maybe experienced in our lives. I've experienced it a couple of times in my life. And that's basically what's happened, is they've farmed all this land. It's open. There's nothing in it, no roots in it. And boom, it's picked up by the wind and just moved through. And so that creates soil degradation until eventually they start moving trees from around the outside, and the soil starts sumping incorrectly, and the salts move up through the ground and become higher up. And then also the land starts becoming compacted from the rain hitting it and walking on it, and bang, bang, bang all the time. And then what we have is the water can't penetrate, so it becomes hydrophobic and the soil becomes absolutely dead. So that's the worst of it all. But when we're doing no dig gardening and we're working in these situations, we're doing what he says here: prevent soil erosion from the sun, wind and rain, and also promote soil building. So worms for life, awesome stuff. We promote soil building by layering on top, just like nature does, and building a nice deep soil profile. And as we build our soil profile, every time it rains, we've got a deeper profile to store water. It's our water bank, right? Think of it as a water bank. And then we've got our little level here, where's our wood chip and things like that we've put in across from the other side. That's a little bit broken down. And then that's breaking down like that and it's feeding. And this is coming deeper and deeper and deeper. And we're filling on top. And all this biology and everything's it's breeding more. You know, it's getting better volumes. It's getting healthier. And the plants just start loving life. So that's a basic breakdown. If you love that breakdown, please give us a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments box down below if that makes sense to you. And yeah, so I do that with a straw bale garden. So I put a bale on top and just let it sit, and it just slowly breaks down like that. And I'm putting compost on top and planting into it until eventually it becomes a part of the soil profile. And that's a way of no-dig gardening. Okay, let's keep moving forward. Hopefully I don't miss anyone's comments. Doing the very best I can to bring them on. G'day Joe Blogs, late-ish lunch break here. Good to see you, bro. And we've got Cheryl. Need to plant cover crops if not growing food. That a cover crop, cover it with straw, hay, mulch, and just keep it moist is what I've learned. Very good point. Let's break this down again a little bit further. So a cover crop. So let me go down to what they call a pioneer species. Now, a lot of people won't know this, so keep listening. Now, what is a pioneer species? And some will like this, some won't, because a lot of people hate weeds. Weeds are a pioneer species, my friend. They are designed when we create bare earth to put roots back into the ground, build microbes up, build biology, and not steal that soil away that's been building for years and building up soil life. As soon as we make it bare and the sun's hitting it, it's ready for erosion, and also it can be compacted, right? And so these roots, the little plants that are growing that we call weeds, sit on top and stop the rain from hitting and compacting. They're breaking the ground up, and they're turning over quickly because some of them might only live 3 to 6 months. And they're getting ready for another little tree to come in, which is a pioneer tree that will come in, and it might be a tree that grows to 4 to 6 feet, lives for about anywhere 3 to 7 years, and then a bigger tree will come on, and then it's building a forest. Do you sort of get it? So that's how the pioneer species work. So remember, when you've got weeds, it's not always a bad thing. Sometimes we need to go through and just cut the tops off, leave those roots in the ground, and then get ready to plant or cover it over with a hay, a mulch, some type of organic matter that will stop weeds from coming through and allowing the rain to get into the ground and producing habitat for these microbes and everything to go. So that's a great point, and just keeping it moist is awesome. So let's keep moving through. And thank you very much, Worms for Life. A lot of people don't know that about weeds and pioneer species and things like that. So I think that's almost a video in itself. But I think if you break it down very simply, you really start to understand what's going on, how soils work and things, and how plants grow and all that stuff. All right, dandelions. Yeah, dandelions, now someone might be able to fix me on this, but the dandelion is a weed that has a very long root. Now, there are some weeds like, not weeds, but other plants like comfrey and broadleaf plants. A lot of the broadleaf weeds and plants have a very long taproot, and it'll go way down, even like 1.5 meters at some point. And what that's doing is it's breaking down into the subsoil and breaking it open so the water and oxygen can get through. But also any material that's gone down too far, any nutrients, it's getting brought back up. And that's why the chickens love these plants, these broadleaf leaves, because they're nutrient dense. And then the leaves are dropping back on the ground and refertilizing the ground. So the broadleaves are great. And dandelion, even though it's a sort of a broadleaf, it's quite a big leaf, they do that as well. And I think they turn up, now I could be wrong, there's a fake dandelion, there's a real dandelion. The fake dandelion turns up when the soil's a little bit acid, I believe. I could be wrong, but I'm 85%. I think I'm right. So let's keep moving through with these comments here. As I said, if I miss anything, please excuse me. I'm doing my very best. Yes, Marty, weeds pop up first to do the amendments. If you read your weeds, it points to the difference deficiencies required in soil. Yes, so if you want to do your research and know about weeds and looking about deficiencies in soil, really there'll be some really great content there in the future, I'm sure. Okay, let's keep moving through. Now, if someone wants to leave a super chat or a super sticker, it's available below in the chat box. Every little bit does help this channel. There's also access to our worm farms, things like that. And not worm farm, sorry. I just want to try something here. Let's get this going here. And boom, and back to chat, and just puts my little ticker box along the bottom there. So if anyone wants to support the channel, there is links and everything down below in the description. We've got access to the Worm Wranglers members area. We've got all the courses in there about worm farming, from sort of intermediate, beginner to intermediate, and growing seedlings using worms. And you'll save you a lot of money by doing that and learning how to create all your own amendments and things like that. So you can also access the ebook, Starting a Worm Farm, a Beginner's Guide, down there. So have a look down there at the end of the video. And yeah, if you want to support the channel, that's a really good way that you can do that. All right, weeds also help tell what your soil needs. It's very, very true. Makes sense. Here we go. Let's see what we got here. Weeds can heal bad soils, compaction, etc. Definitely. It's like I was saying, those weeds that are broadleaf ones are the best ones for getting the compacted soils and moving them out. So sometimes I leave them in rows and things where I haven't got into areas where I haven't got there to get prepared yet. I will remove certain ones away or chop some at the ground. I'll leave some there going, okay, I'll leave you until you're just about to seed. Then I'm going to feed you the chickens. But, you know, if you start understanding weeds, you can use them as your friends. And I was going to produce a video about that, but a lot of people really aren't interested in it. But you guys, you know, while you're here in the live, it's good to talk about. Weeds are plants we don't want, that's all they are. Well, sometimes we do want them, that's as I was saying. Now, just keep in mind that when we've got, when we're clearing certain areas, you might get we've got a weed here called Farmer's Friend, right? And it's the reason it's called that is because it's got a little stick that hooks onto you, and it's designed in Australia to hook onto furry animals, so kangaroos, wombats, things like that, and travel the seed. Now, when we like the farmers go through and they just hammer this around the side of their roads and pathways and things like that, and then all of a sudden all these farmers come through, like thousands of them, just thick, and then they go through and spray them with Roundup, and they kill them, and they make the soil bare again. And guess what? More come up. So you've had 75% of them in the thing. Then now they've got 85% the next spray. Before you know it, they've got 95%. And then they go, oh, wow, we've got to get. So these spray companies love it because they've got to keep buying the poison to keep going through and spraying their rows. When they should have just gone, okay, and I've said this to farms and things like that I've worked on in the past, going, why are you doing that? Why don't you just get a whole lot of wood chip in, get the guys to come through, you know, a couple of times a year and just fill it back on, instead of doing it once a month where you have to use sprays, outputs, kill microbes. They go, oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's really it really does. It used to really upset me because I just couldn't understand the mentality of it. But that gives you a bit of a concept of, you know, weeds cannot be your friends at some stage when it's like that. Let's have a look at what Joe Blogs has got to say here. Most of the longer tap roots are good reason to address potassium requirements. Broader weed roots that have nodes, nodules, and then nitrogen bubbles. Excellent comment there, and thank you so much for sharing that, Joe Blogs, because yeah, we can look at it and nitrogen, as I said, potassium requirements for broader weed roots and nodules. Now, I'm not really sure. There is a way to tell which weeds actually are nitrogenous, and generally they look more like, if you understand what legumes look like, they look more legumatic. So we can get an understanding of that. But yeah, do your study on your weeds. I'm not a full expert on it. I'm learning a lot about weeds all the time, and it really does interest me. Please, can you make a video on weeds in the simplest way to explain all this needs? Well, I'm doing it now, basically, and it's a big job. And to be honest, not many people want to watch it. So I've got to be careful about that type of thing. As much as I'd love to make it, it just probably wouldn't get the views to pay for my time to do it. So we're talking about it here, and we will talk about it in future videos and things like that. Sorry, it's not more. Can't explain why he did public. Like I said, I just can't make a video about everything, but you can go out and do research on it and stuff. There are other content about it, and I do have some coming up in a video. There's little segments in the video where I talk about it, and I think I might have talked about it in the last, and even in the last video where I talk about the lawns and stuff like that, where I'm mowing the lawn, I actually do mention it. So if people are skipping little parts of the video, this is my rant. They skip parts of content and they miss those little golden bits. Yeah, sometimes you need to watch more of the videos instead of just skipping through all the time. Okay, here we go. Super sticker 99. Great Britain. Is that like a pound? $3.50. Thank you so much for that. I haven't got the sounds and everything down yet, so I can't give you a sound, but I can give you a clap from I usually have the artificial crowd, but we'll work on that on the sound things going into the future. But thank you so much, Cheryl, for that. I really do appreciate it. And here we go. Weeds are weeds because we seldom eat them, and they take up room and can be invasive. Yet the weeds are hiding what usually needed. They're still a very important piece of ecological jigsaw. Yeah, they are. I've got this like a trumpet. I can't remember what it's called now. It's a vine that's growing everywhere. Big purple flower. I think it comes out of England. It's a nightmare. It's all through my lawn. I just wish it wasn't there. They throw bulbs into the ground and then shoot back up. I remember on the avocado farm, there was one, it looked like a nut, or it looked like a little, what do you call it? Like a little, it's called potato vine, and it would get up in the trees. It would climb up the tree at a vine, it would make a little nugget, and then it would drop it back down. And they lived for about 7 to 10 years under the subsoil and things like that. It's so hard to get rid of. So some of these weeds can be a complete nightmare. I do agree with that. But you need to understand the difference. Do we work with it, or do we work against it, and how do we do it? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to get my lawns and gardens and things to overgrow stuff, so eventually those weeds won't be there because they won't be able to photosynthesize, and eventually they'll just be covered over with mulch. They'll pop up a little bit more and they'll cover them again until eventually they just go, oh, give up, man. So it's going to take me years. My place it's got every illegal weed in Australia under the sun in my backyard because it wasn't taken care of for many, many years. So big job ahead of me. Love great comments coming in, guys, and lots of value being added here again on the Martys Garden channel with awesome comments and lots of value. If you've come in later, what we did was we actually broke down the video that was out this morning, and then I replayed it and then spoke about it. I broke it down in a section about how you can do it at home and explaining the reasons and the benefits in a deeper way behind it. So if you missed that, you can go back and rewind and check that at any time. And if you've gone right through and you're watching the rerun, let me know in the comments box down below. I always love to know when people are watching these reruns. 21 people watching. Unreal. How many thumbs up have we got? I don't know yet. And we have a comment here from Amuriana. Hopefully I've got that right. Excuse me if I haven't. Cobbler pegs, farmer's friend. Leaves are high in iron. Good for the chicken and the worms. Great for making weed tea as well. Did you know that they in the very old days when first settlers were coming through, and I tried this. It gave me a bad stomach, but you can sprout the cobbler's peg and eat them as a sprout. Now I did that, made me feel sick. But people actually get like an old jumper, and they go through the cobbler's peg and it's wet. Then they hang the old jumper up and they just eat the sprouts like that. Now, I'm not saying do that because it made me feel ill, but I just wanted to try it. And I actually, I've got them in my yard now. The chickens don't always go for them though, I've noticed. They go for other things, which is quite odd. But anyway, it's a good comment. And yeah, make a weed tea. For sure, all those weeds make a really good weed tea. All right, Morning Glory, pain in the butt. I think that's the one I'm talking about now with the big flower, purple trumpet flower. It's Morning Glory. I'm pretty sure it's Morning Glory. I hate it. I love all plants, but this one, I tell you. We have flannel flower. It leaches the good out of the soil here. Non-native. Okay, I don't know flannel flower, but that's an interesting one. I never never seen that before. So we've just want to get this across and change that there. Starting a worm farm beginner's guide, available in the description. Yep, that's the it's on Amazon now. My ebook. I think it sells for about $10 US. We've sold 7 copies so far. So if you're interested in supporting the channel in another way, you can go across there. And if you do get the book, please leave a review, because that'll help just push it up higher into Amazon as well. So we've been going for 45 minutes talking about no-dig gardening and really taking it deep. I mean, we've looked into so many things to do with the microbes, the wood chips, the materials to use, also like putting it around the outside of your gardens, not so much just in rows, and then backfilling it around, areas where you walk and things like that, and chip paths. And, it is a really good way to save money, actually, by doing it that way if you're forward thinking and keeping all that good biology and everything in the home. What I like to do is eventually, when I make these chip pathways, is they connect up to sort of like where the worm farms come through and things, and the fungi will move up through and then up and back into one of the worm farms that's on the ground and connected and all that. And once it all starts connecting all up, it's amazing. It's like this mathematics. You just go, just spreads out. 1 by 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 4 is 16. Going on like that, and it just starts multiplying so quickly. It's just amazing. All right, let's keep looking here and what we've got here. Not all weeds put in additives, and when they're alive, most need to die back when they break down. Bracken fern is great for potassium adage, yet the fronds are a source. Now, I read something about, you might be able to help me with this, Joe Blogs. I read something about when you see bracken, it means that your soil is at a certain pH. If you know that one, or if someone knows that one, can you add it back? But it says bracken is a great source for potassium. So maybe it's building, maybe it shows that it's an area that's potassium low in potassium. It's putting potassium back down in the soil. I've got some bracken right in the corner of one of my garden beds, and I've left it there just for that reason. I'm going, hey, I need to look into the bracken a little bit more. Once we start to really understand nature and our soils and what's growing in it, and looking at it and observing it, and then building habitat above and below the ground. Like I said, my last garden down at North Haven where I was there for 5 years. I didn't use even one organic spray in there, guys, not one. And that was the first time I was ever able to do that. I always was cutting back, and until eventually nothing, because the soil, once you get the soil right and you start understanding what's going on and you're providing habitat, like Karen come in the other day and she goes, Dad, oh, I've just saw like a whole lot of baby assassin bugs, heaps of them. I'm just going, unreal. That is great. And I'm looking around. A few months ago, there was no hoverflies. Now I've got hoverflies. There was hardly any bees coming in. No bees. Didn't see many. I saw a few skinks and things like that. Didn't see any bigger blue-tongue lizards or anything, but they were still a bit cold for them. Then I saw a baby blue-tongue lizard. It was about that big, and I caught it and took it in to show Karen, and it was so calm. It wasn't hissing or anything. Then I took it and I put it around near one of the bales and gone, just hide under there, mate, so you're safe. And hopefully he'll just hang around, because I've had other like blue tongues, wild ones that I used to hand feed strawberries. They come up the fence, out of the fence like a crocodile, grab the strawberry or the cherry tomato. And it's because no sprays, not even organic ones. Remember, organic sprays will kill the beneficials as well. So we want to keep all these beneficials alive, all these beneficial insects in the top part of our habitat. And then we want to keep all the microbes and that soil web alive, feeding that and keeping that alive. All right, let's keep moving forward. And remember, by not digging, this is what we're doing. We're producing better plants overall, so better habitat, healthier habitat, better quality food for you to eat, and also less pest problems, because we're working on our soil. We're feeding that soil. I don't like onion weed. Yes, I've got that one too in my yard. I got handed that over when I moved in. You just got to dig out the bulbs, or you've got to cover it over with like cardboard, newspaper, mulch and just stop it from photosynthesizing, and the bulb will eventually rot out down below. That's my favorite way to get rid of it, but you'll find it will pop up around the edges of the mulches and things like that. It's a real nightmare. But in like beautiful gardens and things where you can't do that, you've got to dig it out with a trowel. You probably know that. All right, let's just keep, I think I've missed something here. We go back just to clarify about free mulch from councils from their recycling centre. Okay, so yeah, you can get that if you look for it. Suggest do not take from the side of the road. Okay, thanks, mate. I appreciate you doing that. Where I was living down the coast, you could do that, but there could be reasons why and why not to. But when you live in the countryside, they're just going through and just doing the gum trees. They're just dumping it in a little area as a parking spot. So it's pretty good, but you have to be careful. Sometimes you mightn't be allowed to take it. So yeah. Gonna have to call it the night. No, Marty, it's 2 a.m. here. Have a dentist in 8 hours. Hence why I can't sleep. Oh, good luck with that. Again, thank you for the super chat, and all the best with the dental thing. And yeah, God bless. Okay, so we're moving through, and see, am I catching up on the comments here? Got it and left a review. Thank you so much for that, for getting the worm farming ebook. I appreciate that. And we'll just keep moving through, Okay, this is a great question, and I want to talk about this because there is a predator for the fruit stinging bug. And the reason I know this is because the fruit stinging bug in Australia, it comes out, and it could be, I don't know where, it's probably prolific right around the world in warmer regions. It lives in the subtropical rainforest and possibly even up into the high rainforest, and it comes out in the summertime into other trees and things like that. Come onto fruit trees, and it loves avocados. They love all different types of fruit trees and stuff. Now, the assassin bug is the predator for stink bugs, right? And when you look at the babies, they almost look identical. And the predators will come out, the baby assassin bugs will come out and hit those babies, hit them hard. And they got a little piercer, and they pierce down in, they put a toxin down in, and they suck the guts out of them like a vampire. And they do look very similar, so you've got to do your research on them. But as they get older, the assassin bug looks different. You'll see the big pincer. You'll see it's a longer, narrower, not so wide and diamond shaped. So they are a bit narrower, and they are the predator for them. Now, the eggs sit underneath the leaves, and they hang down on a long strand like a cobweb, and there's a little bulb underneath. And if you see them underneath the leaves in your fruit trees, leave them be. They're not a pest. That is generally, most of the time, that is the assassin bug, and that's how they lay their species. And I had a great success cleaning up an avocado farm, removing sprays from them by building up assassin bugs, and we changed in a year 30% more fruit production by building up assassin bugs as a predator in 500 trees of avocados. Good story that, but basically the guy who owned it didn't want us to do it, so we didn't write it down in the books that we were we wrote it down in the books we were spraying, and we were using that time to save costs on our hours and on also like the chemicals going out, and looking at other ways of the farm. So we kept him happy in the books. And then one day he said to me, he goes, mate, I can't believe it. He goes, the farm we're getting 30% more good fruit than we should. He said, it should only pick up around about 10% a year, so it says in the books. And me being an honest guy, I said, Greg, I'm going to be honest with you, mate. We didn't use the chemicals, the pyrethrum spray into the trees. We can't get up into the trees anyway. The trees are too tall. We're only getting halfway up into the trees, so you're killing all the good stuff down below and all the assassin bar, everything, and everything's still up high, and we can't reach them anyway. And so I spotted some assassin bugs started to breed, and we thought, hey, let's build up the populations and see if we can knock out these stink bugs that are piercing the fruit. And they pierce the avocado, and as they pierce down, they leave a toxin inside the avocado, and it creates a little hard bit. And when you're eating the avocado, if you've ever eaten that bit, that's from the assassin. So, little story there about how I learned and discovered them, and they are an amazing creature. And yeah, okay, let's keep going. As I said, hopefully I don't let's keep moving through. Yes, it is a native. I need to get some more sun. I have assassin bugs, but don't seem to be winning. They take time to build up, and you've got to have habitat for them. So they need some broadleaf leaves where they can sort of sit underneath and hide. They will beat up in time, and also, you need to keep an eye out for what's it called, the praying mantis. They'll also attack onto stink bugs as well. But it's all about the basically the baby ones attacking sort of when they're young and being put in the nest. I'm pretty sure the assassin bug drops their babies near the nests, and so they come out at the same time and bang, 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 and get it. They got a food source straight away. So that makes sense, doesn't it? As I said, if I miss anything, please forgive me. I'm doing the best I can to get through all this information. We're really diving deep here today into organic gardening habitat, and we started off about the no-dig gardens, and we've moved into these questions and sort of moving through. And here we go. This is a good comment. I got bitten by an assassin bug years ago on my shoulder. Not long after that, I started getting lots of joint pains. I was worried I might have gotten Lyme's disease. All good now. Well, that's good news. They probably would hurt, I'm sure, but luckily you're all good. I'm sure you're a healthy man, and you don't have to worry about that too much. And so we've had some great comments so far right through the show, and it's been very, very interesting. And if you've come in late, what we've talked about is no-dig gardening. I got the video from this morning. We played it right through, and then I broke it right down so we could talk about it deeper. And then we moved into talking about all the different weeds and things, and looking at the soil and how to improve the soil, and look at the different plants that are growing and see how we can improve in our soil, and what the weeds are showing us, what weeds to leave, what ones to pull up, all that type of thing. And I think we really covered some really great information here as we're speaking. So I want to thank everyone for coming in. And what we do normally is we get to near the end of the show, the hour, I play a song. At the moment, I don't have the song here. I'm sure I can maybe add some music in the future towards the end, but I've got to know how to do that. It does say background music available. So yeah, but anyway, look, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a worm wrangler. There's 3 different options to do that. You can just support by just putting a couple of dollars in, becoming a worm wrangler 1. You can become worm wrangler 2, and a worm wrangler 3 is where you get access to everything. Worm wrangler 2, you can get access to some of the courses, and you get access to the seedlings courses of growing seedlings using your worms and compost worms, and your the castings and juices and things that come out to save money. So that's pretty good. And worm wrangler 3, you get access to everything, and you can also message me in there, and just if you've got any questions about, I'll get back to you. And that way you can grow a perfect worm farm and add it to a part of your system of your no-dig systems, so you can create these amendments and be liquid fertilizing your plants, and getting worm castings and putting it around when you're planting, and then also building these no-dig gardens, building up wood chip piles, putting them around the side of your raised beds and things like that, and putting it back on, keeping this biology alive, brewing biology even in your worm farms by creating worm teas and things like that. And we speak about that more in the Worm Wranglers. And there's also other content online that a lot of that going on. So generally what we do as we're getting sort of towards the end of the hour, I've still got a couple more comments, so I'll pull those through. But we start saying goodbye to each other, and I'll just answer a few more comments, and then we'll start saying goodbye to each other, and you say goodbye to me. I'll pull them across, and we'll be in the next thing. Now, I'm actually considering running a live show every day. This Saturday, I don't have my regular live show. I've got a friend coming to visit. Really happy about that. We're going to spend the day together. They live down the area where I lived before, and they're coming here for some workshop or something like that. So I won't be here, but I may run one out that's that I may just chat in the side. So I've got this software now where I can do that. I can actually just run it out, chat in the side, and not be here face to face talking like that so much. But so there may be one still on Saturday, but I want to challenge myself and try and get one out every day for the next month. How does that sound? Do you like that? There could even be, if I can do it, pull it off, I might even put two, like an old video from years back, and blast from the past and break it down and do all this stuff. So let's read this comment. Glennie's gardening. I was just outside rebuilding my worm farm, had to start again. A mate was supposed to be looking after them in Normanton. They never opened the tap, just lost about a whole lot except 10 worms. Okay, tip here, Glennie's garden. Get rid of that tap, mate. I keep telling everyone, take the taps off. They block up. They're a nightmare, right? You just want to have the bucket down below, and you want to be able to stick your finger in there. And if they do block up a little bit, at least it's going to drip out a little bit. You know, it's still going to drain. It happens all the time. It's happened to me. So please, yeah, remove those, remove the taps from your worm farms. I even put that in an old video many years ago. But thanks for sharing that, because sorry to hear that's happened. I do feel for you, because it's happened to me before. But yeah, get rid of that tap, mate. You're doing great, Marty. Don't stop posting. Thank you very much. Well, like I said, I'm going to challenge myself to do 30 videos, and we may even do more in the next month, and see how things go. And as I said, blast from the past videos, putting them out, breaking them down, all this stuff. And yeah, if I can reach more people, I can get the word out more about worm farming, no-dig gardening, no-till systems, building biology, building good soil health, building habitat, improving our landscape around us, and also our own health at the same time. And as I said, I'm producing about 40% of our own food here at the moment, and I'm only just getting started. I've just pulled up for a coffee. Good on ya. Thanks, Marty, and everyone in chats. Lunchtime over for me. Back to work. See ya. Oh, excuse me. Joe, have a good day, mate. And yeah, we'll start saying goodbye to each other here. We've gone into the hour, and it's been an awesome show so far. And as I said, before you go, remember there's some links down in the description, and you can check out different options that you can do to support the channel and keep going with my cause of getting the word out. And yeah, everyone, please remember, thumbs up. Yes, it does help the channel in many ways, and shows YouTube that, that my channel is popular and that I'm giving a lot of value. Okay, yo, here we go. I got rid of my taps. My worm cafe is doing much better. Yeah, you do lose the odd worm coming out of there, but if you're putting the water back in, like I mentioned all the time, you got about 4 days for them to actually die in the water. So you put the water back in, you're saving the worms if they just fall out of the hole into the thing. But remember, they do get stuck in the tap and die in the tap as well. So you're better off removing the tap. Have a nice day with your friends on Saturday. I will. Thank you very much. I'm really looking forward to it. Hanging out with one of my buddies. Thank you. I might do that. Just see how it goes, unless you can keep it unblocked. See ya all. See ya, Peppy. Good to see you here, mate. Thanks everyone for popping in. Did you like it? I cleaned up the back a bit. You can't see surfboards and different stuff everywhere. And we're working on getting it better. Got a little light coming for the front of my face, and I even got the logo up in the top corner here. Maybe we'll fix on the logo a bit. Going to put some little things around the outside and start improving these live shows, and working on, you know, breaking down old videos and bringing this type of content for you, and trying to bring as much value as I can to you guys. And as I said, I'm challenging myself 30 videos next 30 days. Even if I'm not here, I'm still going to run one out. Great show, Marty. Once this monsoon clears, I'll be back into it full on. And a few people just saying goodbye and hello to each other. Awesome, guys. Look, it's been a great show. I'm going to finish up now. 1 hour and 44 minutes into it. Thank you so much for coming. Keep an eye out for tomorrow. We're going to have a video out tomorrow. I don't know what it is yet. Got to go through, do some research and what it's going to be, and start piling all these videos together, so you guys can learn heaps over the next month. Have a great day. Happy everything. Oh, geez, I hope I haven't killed myself by saying that, but I'm going to have a go. Let's go for the challenge.